You ready for this one?
Shoot, go on.
Okay, right. So, Wayne's getting on us for this Patreon thing, right? So let's just go through it, right? It's 1, 10.
Yeah.
I nearly said it wrong then. 1, 10, and 15. Okay?
1, 10, and 15.
1, 10, and 15.
1, 10,
all right,
and 15.
just so we're clear.
1, 10, and 15.
So we know as we're going through the episode,
1, 10,
okay?
and 15. Okay.
Fine. Right, good. Okay.
1, 10, and 15.
1, 10, and 15. Okay.
We don't want to get it wrong for Wayne.
No.
We know how much it means.
No.
To him.
He's
So
told
1,
us
10,
off, so we
15.
need to get it right now.
Okay, 1, 10, and 15.
1, 10, and 15.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to Screen Masters with me, Bath.
And me, Fluff.
And today we are going to be taking a look at the TV series Rick and Morty. Looking over the 4 seasons, I guess. We'll be halfway through the 4 seasons.
Halfway. Well, I wouldn't even say. I don't even know if it's half. We're just 5 episodes.
Yeah,
in,
we had 5
so...
episodes, haven't we? So
yeah.
We're gonna hope we're halfway through at this point. I'd like some more.
Yeah.
Before we finish the season, but we know it's coming. But yes, we thought we'd have a look back over the 3 and a bit seasons of Rick and Morty that we've been so far, picking out our top. What do we go for? 5.
Top five.
Okay.
With honourable mentions as always.
Indeed. Now, obviously, we don't know. I don't know the state when this releases, but I'm going to assume that coronavirus is still knocking around.
Okay, go on then.
So once again today, we shall turn to some words.
Okay.
And the words of Disturbed.
Disturbed now.
And we're going to say, get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Your mother, get up, come on, get down with the sickness.
Jesus Christ.
Oh,
Jesus Christ. Okay.
your reaction to them is worth it alone.
What a wonderful start to the podcast.
It's funny, whenever I say them, I can, even though we're recording this and it doesn't go out for a few weeks, I feel like I can hear the audience rolling their eyes, like it's an audible thing.
Our good friend and listener, Mr. Dave Mortimer, has a tendency at work these days to pull out dad jokes from time to time.
Nice.
And that is pretty much the exact reaction that he gets from me.
Yeah.
The other people will laugh, and don't get me wrong, and I will just be like... I will audibly roll my eyes. Other people find it hilarious. I'm like,
I can't beat a good dad joke.
But keep it up, Dave. Keep it up.
Also, quick piece of housekeeping. Last episode in our potluck, we were discussing a question that had been sent in about sequels, threequels, trilogies, where the subsequent parts are better than the originals. And I hadn't written down the fella's name who put the question in, or put the suggestion in, so I'd just like to credit him now. That was Mr. Jason Bradshaw through the Facebook page, through Messenger. So thank you very much for that, sir. Apologies I didn't write your name down in time for the first episode. Okay, let's do the rest of the admin then. So, hello, if you're listening to us, you're presumably on your podcast platform of choice. That's lovely. If you want links to the Apple Podcast, to Spotify, or to Zencast, where the podcast is actually hosted, you can head over to the Facebook page, facebook.com/thescreenmasters, to find all of that. If you want to find us on the YouTube, that is bit.ly/Byte Back YT, he says, just looking down at his notes again to make sure he gets it right. Where you can come to the YouTube channel, you can see us. Hello, we're here. And look, we have stuff behind us again. Some of which ties in, you see? Told you there was a little bit of foreshadowing there last time, didn't we? Foreshadowing. I don't know why I'm leaning at this microphone, because it's not on.
Muppet.
Yeah, I know. But when we were doing the first lot of foreshadowing, we were playing to mics that weren't actually used in the end.
True, but we didn't know that at the time.
Yeah, we didn't know at the time,
so.
But it was picking up the creaky floors too much. And finally, if you would, so please go over to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the channel, give us a like, all that stuff, comments, whatever you like. Just put some traffic through it for us. We're in the process of trying to increase the profile of that and get it monetized. As we've said before, if a very small percentage of our listening audience could just pop over there and click the subscribe button, we'd be well on the way. So we'd very much appreciate that. If you would like to donate more directly to us and take advantage of special bonus content, t-shirts, bits and pieces, you can go over to bit.ly/Byte Back Patreon to sign up to Patreon, become a patron, with tiers at...
Now, we went through this. We're going to get it right this time.
Yeah, we got this down.
Okay. Yeah. And it's $4, $8, and $12. $4, $8, and $12.
Not pounds, as I said last time.
No, not pounds. $4, $8, and $12.
Okay.
And we got it right this time, Wayne. We got it right.
So thank you very much for that. And remember, as always, ladies and gentlemen, the bite is spelt like a computer bite, not a food bite. So, are we diving in, or have you got some news?
Got a little bit of news.
I've got nothing, because we used it all. I used all my stuff in the potluck episode. So
well, that's fine. So a little bit of the news now, as is usual. Usually, by the time this pod comes out, the news that we've suddenly discussed has suddenly developed a little bit further.
Of course, yeah.
Which is always the fun thing. So you're hearing this a couple of weeks behind, I'm sure. But even still, if you don't know this, then there you go. So first of all, Jeremy Renner has been talking about how he's getting in shape for Hawkeye. The Hawkeye series that a couple of weeks ago was indefinitely postponed. Yes. So now that obviously seems to contradict that rumour. So yeah, he's kind of ramping up the news on that front, saying that he's getting in shape for it. So.
Back on the cards.
Back on the cards then.
Good stuff.
Other quick bits of news. Yep. She-Hulk. Now there's been a few comments about who the main individual will be that will play Jennifer Walters. At the moment, the front runner, who kind of seems to be asked a few questions in a few interviews recently, is somebody I've always loved, which is Alison Brie.
She's in Picard, isn't she?
No, that's Alison Pill.
Sorry, I'm getting confused.
Alison Brie.
Because Alison Pill was in the newsroom?
The newsroom, correct.
Thank
yes,
you. Right, okay, so I'm thinking of the right person, I got them confused. Oh yeah, of course she is, Yeah. Isn't she the ex-girlfriend?
No, she's the drummer. She's the drummer?
Yes, sorry, who's the ex-girlfriend? Because she's someone who does a lot.
Trying to remember. I know Aubrey Plaza is in there.
She's the one with the glasses, isn't she?
Yeah, she just she just.
God, I love that film.
Shouts, Scott in Pilgrim when he goes to order a coffee. Anyway, so yeah,
I need to watch that film again. I love that film. I just started thinking about all the vegan jokes.
Yeah, but we both admitted we both hate Jason Schwartzman, so that's the reason I can't stand that film. Anyway, you only love it because of fucking Elizabeth. What was her name again? Elizabeth Winstead, something.
Yeah. Mary Elizabeth
Winstead, sorry.
Yeah, I do love it for that, but I love it anyway because it's Edgar Wright, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
You know, it's the makeup of it, you know, the way it's put together. I just think it's incredible.
But yeah, I've loved Alison Brie for years. Obviously, being a huge Community fan. Foreshadowing there, Dan Harmon, Rick and Morty. There you go. She's also done Glow, which was the Netflix series about the wrestling.
Yes.
Which again, I don't think you've still watched.
No, I haven't.
Again, another one.
Is it a 20-minute of that one?
Yeah, 20-minute episode. Yeah. Honestly, any time I watch the series, I watch 1, 2, and 3. I pretty much buzz through them in an evening.
Yeah.
Okay. That's how easy they are.
You
to
don't
watch
have children.
Very true, very true. But dealing with you at times can be...
Yeah, it can be like dealing with a child. Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
So there's the rumour mill that she may actually end up playing the main character. She's kind of deflecting those at the moment. You're not committing to it, but not necessarily denying it. So one of those...
The only question I'd have on that, I've got no problem with her playing Jennifer Walters, but Jennifer Walters is Hulk all the time, isn't she?
It goes back and forth.
Brie as being a big...
no, but I mean, the thing, to be fair though, the amount of training and stuff like that she put in for Glow and stuff like that, she's badass.
Yeah, she could beef up a bit and tone up.
But
I just don't think she'd be as statuesque as...
No, but then again, Mark Ruffalo isn't.
No, that's very true.
So, it's how they play it out. But again, it depends on how they're going to portray this character, because obviously we know from the comic books that it's one way. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
It'd just be interesting. I don't think I want to see a full CGI She-Hulk.
No.
In front and centre of everything, if you see what I mean?
No.
And yes, Ruffalo is a great Bruce Banner, and obviously then they... with the face mapping stuff, put his face onto Hulk, so it works.
I don't think they're going to do it disservice, put it that way. I think they've got an idea on what they're going to do. I have faith in them. And touching on Mark Ruffalo, apparringly he is also rumoured to be...
Mark Ruffalo?
No, I said touching on Mark Ruffalo.
That's different how?
Oh, you just had to go there, didn't you? You're a sexual deviant.
He is a sexual man.
You're a sexual deviant.
How could you not like Mark Ruffalo?
I'm not going there. Right, so anyway, the rumour is that Mark Ruffalo is in immediate talks to join the series as well.
That'd be
in what capacity, I don't know, be that a cameo, be that whatever. We obviously know the tie-in between, he and, Bruce Banner and Jennifer Walters in terms of the story and how that all comes about. So, interesting to see how that will all pan out. So, those are the two ones for the She-Hulk. And then finally, on Thor, which appears to have pretty much been confirmed by Tessa Thompson, who's on the junket at the moment for Westworld, which begins this weekend. Don't know what to make of that. I think we were both very disappointed in season 2, so let's see how season 3
I
plans
don't
out.
think I can remember much of season 2
Because
either.
it was hogwash, absolute hogwash. Aside from
it was
one
ages
episode,
ago. It seems like it's taken even longer to
yeah,
get
it has,
between
because it
2
was,
and 3.
Yeah,
than
because
did
it wasn't
1 to
out
2.
last year; it was out the year before,
Oh,
and they had
God.
the whole year
I've
last
totally
year on.
forgotten, man. And
Yeah.
I've got no desire to go back and watch it all.
No, I've not either, because season 2 was just utter fucking
Oh,
hogwash.
fine.
Aside from one episode which focused on the Native American, that was
Yeah, that
bloody
was
enjoyable.
really good, yeah.
Really, really enjoyable. The rest of it was fucking hogwash. Anyway, going back to Thor and Tessa Thompson, she's pretty much confirmed that Christian Bale will be playing the villain in the film.
Okay.
At this moment in time, that's not been confirmed by Bale, but she's pretty much said, yes, he's going to be playing the villain in the film. Now, we don't know what villain it is at the moment. We're still, obviously, in the early stage.
Speculate, what do you think?
Honestly, I don't know. I really don't know, because
we kind of saw Surtur, and that would be my next go-to.
Yeah.
Based on what we've seen so far. We've had Hela, we've had...
Could be the God Butcher.
Yeah.
It could be a number of characters, and I think that's the intriguing thing at this moment in time.
Absolutely.
I genuinely don't know, and I'm intrigued to see where Taika Waititi's going to go with it.
Yeah, it could be another realm that we've not seen before.
Precisely.
Like Jotunheim was the Frost Giant.
This is it. They've already shat the bed with Malekith,
Malekith,
Malekith, sorry. And even though the great, comic book stories that have been out in the last couple of years, War of the Realms and stuff like that, that were all centred around him. So who's to say at this moment in time? But anyway, we shall see. So there you go. There's a little bit of casting news.
Good stuff. Okay, well let's push it into the main segment then.
Yeah.
So do you want to start with some honourable mentions?
Sure. So for those again who don't know much about Rick and Morty, so this is a series which has been about for a good number of years now. Originated with Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland. Justin Roiland doing the voice of both Rick and Morty as well. The remainder of the cast consists of Chris Parnell, who I've always loved because he was in Archer. He plays one of the characters in Archer, and he's absolutely fantastic in that. So I know he's got the voiceover chops for this, playing Jerry. Spencer Graham, who is... trying to remember. It's Frasier's daughter. What's his face? Kelsey Grammer.
Kelsey Grammer.
Kelsey Grammer. That's sorry. It's Spencer Grammer. Sorry, I don't know why I put Graham.
Yeah, you put Graham.
Yeah, I put Graham. I misread that. Anyway, Spencer Grammer, and yeah, that's the daughter of.
I didn't know that.
Frasier. Yeah.
So she, the voice of Summer.
Yes, the voice of Summer. Yeah.
I know the voice of Beth.
Yeah, which is Sarah Chalk, who we both love from Scrubs. So that's the main cast. Now, obviously, Dan Harmon bobs in and out, playing various characters. We've had so many cameos from Community people as well. Again,
my favourite cameo is Nathan Fillion, because I love Nathan Fillion.
Yes, Nathan Fillion is fantastic in this as well. But yeah, so I love the fact that there is connections between this and Community in a couple of places. If you're a Community fan, you will pick up on them and you'll know where they are as well.
Is it Colbert or Oliver who guested on it at one point? Was it John Oliver?
Both.
Oh, they both have?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. I guess I'm sure that I remember an
John
episode where
John Oliver was in Anatomy Park.
Ah, that's it.
And Stephen Colbert, maybe in one of the episodes that may be in my top 5. So we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So yeah, that's just a little rundown. Now we're obviously into the early stages of season 4, so it's only five episodes in, but the series had been picked up for, was it like 100 episodes, like 90 episodes?
Something like that, wasn't it? Over an X amount of years.
Yeah. So this was at a point where we thought, Rick and Morty's going to get cancelled. It was taking forever for the seasons to come out, and then they kind of announced, there's going to be 90 more episodes.
As far as I read, it was because they didn't just want one season. They wanted multiple seasons, multiple episodes, and to have, so that they could design an overarching story based around those 90 episodes. Because again, as you'll see, you could watch Rick and Morty and assume it's throwaway garbage like South Park was in the early days, where you're forgetting continuity, nothing plays in, and actually very quickly you realise that isn't the case in this, and that they are going to obey continuity and they are going to reference back to things, and that actually there is, even now as we sit here, there is a bubbling undercurrent story that they keep touching on. Without saying, without shoving it in your face that they're touching on it, you've got to pick it out. But they keep coming back to it time and again in each series, so that is building to something somewhere.
And
which
even
would be interesting to see.
The throwaways of we're from Earth C-137.
Yep.
Well, Summer is not the Summer from C-137 as a result of them moving across and things like that, and they keep that in continuity. They go back to, you know, the previous iterations of Earths that they've been to, and all that kind of stuff, which is cool.
Yeah.
And again, they're sensible writers. There's even a joke in there at one point, you know, from Summer, and jokes about the fact that, you know, no wonder they're never on time and stuff like this. Joking about the fact that they're just talking nonsense, and she's like, oh God, no wonder you never get stuff out on time. They're like, what? Nothing. And it's just a throwaway to the fact that the whole of season 3 took a good 2.5 years.
But
to
they've
finally come
always
out.
been fourth wall breakers, haven't
Yes, they have.
I mean, crikey, is it the end of? Is it the end of the first episode in the 4th season where it's like forever and ever Rick and Morty for 100 years forever, and it's just Justin Roiland just improving the same idea over and over again in as many different ways as he can say it, and it's
well, he does it at the end of
season 1.
He does it at the end of season 1, episode 1 in season 1. He talks about it's Rick and Morty for 100 years.
That's it. That's the one I'm thinking.
Rick and Morty, and then again they do it again at the beginning of season 3, where he's kind of ousted Jerry from the house, and then it's just like, it's going to be you and me, Morty, Rick and Morty for 9 more seasons and 900 years, and Rick and Morty, and it's just
it's quite funny.
But anyway, right, so cracking on to the honourable mentions. So there's so many episodes in this. It was really fucking hard to narrow down. I think you were doing this earlier, and you were saying the exact same. But there are some which are just truly fantastic. Didn't quite make it into the top 5. Right, so first is Vindicators 2.
Okay.
Which I absolutely loved this shit out of. Basically, the story of Rick and Morty going out into space to meet up with a team called the Vindicators, who kind of stop galaxy-spanning bad guys and solve scenarios which you know,
they're like a intergalactic Justice League, aren't they?
Essentially, yes. But this turns out to not be the second time that the Vindicators have got together. This is actually the third time. They just didn't bother calling Rick and Morty last time.
So are you talking about Vindicators 3?
No. No. This is Vindicators 2. It's just
because I thought in Vindicators 3 we discover that they missed one.
No. They do Vindicators. So Vindicators has happened off screen. We've never met the Vindicators before. We come back in the episode, it's called Vindicators 2, because that's what they think. Oh, this is the second time we've got together. Actually, it's not. It's the third. They just didn't call them the second time around. So there's a kind of role play.
That was in episode 3, the third Vindicators one that happens.
There's only one Vindicators episode.
There's not. There's Vindicators 3, The Return of Worldender.
Okay, maybe it's called Vindicators 3 then, sorry.
Which is in season 3.
Yeah, it's in season 3, but we never have a previous Vindicators episode.
There was on the episode list when I was looking at them.
Okay, well, we'll have to. Right.
There is a previous Vindicators one.
Okay.
I think it's Vindicators and then Vindicators 3. And then in 3 they say that we missed 2.
Okay.
I think. Or it's, like you say, it's 2 and 3, and when they get to... No, because in 3 is the one where they go, we missed one. And I'm sure that was the one in the middle, because we'd met the Vindicators before.
Anyway, Vindicators. So yeah, it's just really enjoyable because it's basically the story of Rick.
Yeah, I'd say don't say too much about that one because it's on my list.
Okay, that's fine. Just getting absolutely shit-faced drunk and causing mayhem. And you know,
you've covered it. Well done.
Rick just getting shit-faced drunk, and that pretty much covers. That, to be fair, that covers half of the episodes for half of the seasons.
Thanks.
But
that's my number 3 down the pan. Carry on.
Oh, come on, don't be such a crybaby. Right, so another one. Look who's purging now.
Yes, the Purge Planet one.
Purge Planet one.
That one's funny.
I absolutely love that one. Again, you know, if you haven't heard of the film The Purge, simple thing is that the whole of society breaks down and that it's a free for all. Everybody gets to kill each other. That's essentially the purge of it, and that was hilarious. Big Trouble in Little Sanchez, the introduction of Tiny Rick. I'm not saying any more.
Don't say any more.
Not saying any more. Wonder if that's on your list then. Morty's Mind Blowers. Don't say any more. Jesus Christ. Okay. And then finally, the last episode of season 4, which is Rattlestar Rick Lantica. Which is the...
I haven't got that one.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so that's the snake episode where they're out in space. Morty gets bit by a space snake, who is literally a snake in a spacesuit.
Yes.
And then he feels really guilty about the fact that this snake, who was like the astronaut for a snake planet, he feels really bad about it, so he goes and buys a snake from the pet store and then puts that back on the planet, which causes no end of upheaval, and then the whole planet turns into like Terminator style snakes all over the place, and it's just fucking ridiculous. I love it. But the thing is, I've only seen that maybe once, maybe twice.
Yeah,
so it's perhaps the reason why it's a little bit further down. Right, I'm going to throw it over to you then for your honorables.
Again, if I've got any here that you're going to mention,
course.
just say. So, the 2 interdimensional cable episodes.
No, they're not.
I would mention those just because they're funny.
Yes.
And they've given rise to words like plumbus and squanchy.
Well,
Squanchy's character, isn't he? He's coming up.
Squanchy.
But yeah, the plumbus was in that, wasn't it? And what is it? There's like an 18 type show that they watch as well, isn't there? Oh, I can't remember what they're called.
Ball fondlers or something
That's
like that?
it! I think you might be right. I think it might be ball fondlers.
Yeah.
Fuck, that's so funny. And yeah, all the other bullshit, the eye holes, breakfast cereal, and all that kind of random shit. They're funny as fuck, and just crazy because they're just clip episodes. Mm-hmm. They're just fillers, aren't they? Yeah. Really, there's no plot to
Which
them.
is essentially where kind of Morty's mind blow is kind of. It was like, oh, okay, this is our interdimensional cable.
But I've got that one for other reasons.
Yes, okay. Yeah.
Episode 1, season 1, episode 5, Meeseeks and Destroy.
No, that's not on my list.
Love that one. Of course, behind us you can see the Meeseeks if you're watching us on the video. We've got our Meeseeks here.
Look at me.
Hi, Mr. Meat. No, I can't do it.
No, you can't do it.
No. I used to be able to. What does he say?
I'm Mr. Meeseeks, look at me.
He does. Okay, I can't think. Anyway, but yes, I love that one, and that one's brilliant as well because at the beginning it's when they get the Meeseeks box because that's the secondary storyline, isn't it? Is the normal people, the family, playing with the Meeseeks box while the other 2 are off on their adventure.
Yeah.
And it's Jerry, Summer, and Beth all ask the Meeseeks for something, and the girls are just so vapid and basic about it, and you think, oh god, as if you're ever going to attain that, and Jerry's just like, I just want help with my golf game.
Yeah.
And he seems like the easiest thing to do, and then it turns out that their problems get solved in a heartbeat because actually that's really easy to do, and Jerry just cannot fucking improve at the game. So the Meeseeks end up using more Meeseeks to try and get Jerry to win, and then the Meeseeks get upset that they can't die because they can't finish the task, and they're getting really old and upset with each other. It's so funny. Rick Potion number 9.
No, not mine.
No, okay, so that is the one that you referenced, where they Cronenberg everyone at the end of the episode,
world,
which, as I say, is the first time that you realise, hang on, we are playing with continuity here. So their universe C-137, Rick creates a love potion for Morty so that he can put it in his love Jessica's drink or whatever and make Jessica fall in love with him. And I can't remember how it goes wrong.
It's because he's like, well, everything should be fine unless she's got the flu. That's
right, and she's got the flu, and then it spreads, and yeah, everyone ends up Cronenberging, as they call it, and end up as horribly
they all fall
monsters.
in love with Morty, and then the only way to do it is, okay, I'm going to splice some of this DNA and this DNA, and it'll be fine, and they all turn into Cronenbergs.
He Cronenbergs everyone, and it turns into a post-apocalyptic wasteland.
Yeah.
So they escape to another universe where the Rick and Morty of that universe have just died, and so they just take their places and carry on. But then for the rest of our time, we are constantly referencing that they Cronenberged it. They Cronenberged their original planet, that they're not from this planet originally, that they aren't the original Rick and Morty of this world. And it's just really interesting that they actually bother to do that. Season 2, Episode 2, Morty Night Run, which is the one with Blips and Chits.
Blips and Chips.
No, it's Chits, yeah. Blips and Chits, and I just love that one because he wants to go out to Blips and Chits, and he's got Jerry with him, and he has to do something with Jerry. And
Jeff puts him in daycare.
Puts him in the Jerry daycare that's designed for Jerry's.
Yeah.
When the Ricks end up with the Jerrys, and they have to put them in the daycare, and that's fucking brilliant. The way whenever he gets to the point of going, where's Rick? I think I should be doing something else. And like, Rick, oh no, come back. And they entice him back with something really crap. I love that one. And Get Swifty, Season 2, Episode 5, just for the song. Yeah. I just like Get Swifty.
I want to get swifty.
And it's, again, a hilariously ridiculous premise that you save the world by writing a song that they like. But then I think about Star Trek. Is it? No, it's Star Trek. I was going to say the motion picture, but it's not that one. It's The Voyage Home. Voyage Home, where the beacon comes to Earth and is shooting a signal down at Earth in the future, and they're trying to communicate with whales, and we've got no whales to reply to them, so they have to fly back in time to get a whale to bring back to Earth. to then communicate with the thing, sort of fuck off home again. So actually, it's not that ridiculous, really, is it?
No.
And that's the beauty of Rick and Morty a lot of the time, is you look at this stuff and you go, that's ridiculous. And then when you read the episode description or something, you go, oh yeah, shit, that was just Total Recall, or that was just this film, or that was just that film. So they're constantly sending up the sci-fi tropes that you know from these things.
Yeah.
There you go, that's my in brief list.
Cool.
Like I said, maybe there'd have been something from season 4 in there, but it's just not fresh enough in my memory, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that when most of the other seasons have been 10, I think a lot of them have been at least 10, 12 episodes long. We're only 5 episodes in, and yeah, I haven't gone back and watched it, because usually once I finish the series, I'll go back and watch it again and again.
Yeah, like I said, season 1
5
and 2,
episodes, it's... Yeah.
I also think it's this timing thing as well. Because season 1 and 2, we had them for so long that I just rewatched them over and over again. You know, and yeah, I've watched season 3 a couple of times, I think, maybe 3 times, but not a huge amount. Yeah. Because again, season 4 was slightly quicker coming than we would have thought. But go on then.
Right,
Your number 5 then.
My number 5 is...
Now, again, apologies in advance, sorry to cut you off. We haven't been through the list, as you've just realised, through that bollocks. So we don't know what each other's got. Yeah, we both got the same for number 1, so that's fine.
I think we predicted way beforehand that we would probably have that beforehand.
I've got to be honest, I'm a little bit over it now, but it's kind of like a song that's been played too much. But
sure.
It doesn't change anything, but when we get there, you know, that's...
So the number 5 for me is Rick's Must Be Crazy, which is the Miniverse episode. Which is the one...
With his car!
Yes. Which is the one, as you were saying previously, with Stephen Colbert in.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Because he plays Zeb, I think his character's name is. So the premise of this one is that Rick's car battery is dying, and so what he and Rick and Morty need to do is go inside the battery and basically sort it. So they go inside the battery, it turns out it's a miniverse. And that Rick has basically spawned a planet due to, sciencey ways, spawned a planet, and that planet basically pulls a bunch of levers or stamps on stuff and basically generates power for Rick's car, and so that he can charge his phone and stuff like that. And the reason that they're not getting the power is because a scientist, very similar to Rick in this universe, has also created a microverse. And so they go into the microverse, and it turns out in the microverse that's not generating power because the guy in the microverse has created a teenyverse, and it's this whole ridiculous sciencey notion. Again, you suddenly get a Rick Sanchez and this Zeb, and they're just so similar that they keep repeating things of each other, just like, oh yeah, by the way, this is peace among men, kind of a deal, or doing exactly the same thing. One of them's a heroin addict, one of them's an alcoholic. What the fuck? Absolutely zany as shit, and it just takes that simple sci-fi premise of, oh okay, you've got a tiny, mini universe inside of a box, and that's got a miniverse, and then that's got a miniverse. It's just fucking hilarious. The interplay between those characters is fantastic. Morty getting pissed off that, that they're not figuring their way out, so he goes and joins the natives of the land who basically just eat every other baby and stuff like this. But we've also got the subplot, which also tickles the shit out of me, which is Summer stuck inside Rick's car, but because the auto defense is on, people come up to the car and it gets killed. Or they come up to the car and it'll paralyse them. And then the police turn up, and then there's a clone of a baby that's recently died spawn. And you're just like, what the and this is all a defence mechanism. Yeah. Then the spider people get involved. Yeah. Bonkers as shit.
Yeah, absolutely. I also think there is and this is what Rick and Morty can do sometimes, and again, like we mentioned in things like South Park, is often written off because it's a comedy, an adult comedy animation. Mm-hmm. Is the point it's actually making with this engine business and the battery business is that the miniverse he's created to power his car, they have to work their asses off in order to power his car. So he's using slave labour, for want of a better term, because they're not getting paid for what they're doing, and they realise this, so then they decide to do the same thing, because then the other people are generating the power, they haven't got to work as hard, and like you said, it's just trickling down, but it is making a point about society.
Yeah, yes, most
and
definitely.
about the way that things are. But like you say, it masks it so well with you never feel like you're being smashed over the head with a point.
Yeah, it's
Well, very rarely anyway. There are times when they make more of a point and they make sure they make the point enough for you to get it.
Yes.
But I would argue that one is one where they don't really reference the point too much. They
don't get too preachy. And oddly enough, me and our friend Baggy, we were discussing last night. We were talking about recent Doctor Who's, where some of it has been enjoyable, but we've also noted that some of it is not so much. Why? Because you're getting really fucking preachy. I really don't want to be preached to all the time, and this doesn't. This will subtly point you in the direction of certain things, but won't go too preachy on it. It lets you make up your own mind. Right, over to you for your fifth.
Well, my number 5 would be Morty's Mind Blowers.
Okay.
So as you say, this was put together as a clip episode to replace the interdimensional cable, and they even say that at the beginning of the episode, don't they? They're like, we don't want to do that, so we're going to do this instead. But it's an example of them going poignant and sticking with the poignant, because Morty's Mind Blowers is about times that he has asked. It turns out that there's a memory he can't live with. I can't remember what the situation is actually, but
he kills the man on the moon.
That's right.
The Moon Man.
Yeah, and he can't live with himself over what he's done. So we discover that actually all the way along, Rick has been removing painful memories from Morty's head so that he hasn't got to live with them because he knows it's too hard. So from everything we know about Rick, he would never do that because that's a compassionate act. That's being sympathetic and understanding that he's a child and he shouldn't have to live with this shit. Whereas Rick is Rick. He's just going to live with it anyway. It eats him alive. We all know that. And so I find it really interesting. And it's some of the stuff we see, because some of it is stupidly dark, because they then go through his memories, don't they? Of all the stuff that Rick's removed over the time. Yeah. And some of them are just so ridiculously dark. The stuff he's witnessed is insane. But then I'm sure there's 2 or 3 moments when we see Rick being nice, and he's removed that from his head because he doesn't want Morty to remember that he actually likes him and was nice.
Or Morty got one up on Rick and he's laughing at him and he's like, do you want me to remove your memory? What? Don't worry about it. It's just like, you son of a bitch.
And that's why I like that one, because it every now and then, I think there's another one that it has a poignant edge to it, or like I say, an emotional edge that you wouldn't normally get from the show. Yes, they'll make points and things, but they won't very often try and play with the heartstrings. And that is one example where I think they do. And actually there's a couple more on my list where I think they do. And they're, I think, the ones that, actually, every single one of the ones I've picked, I would argue there's a part in there where they're playing with the heartstrings. And that is possibly why I've picked them, thinking about it, is because they're making that, trying to make it deeper, trying to make it more than just surface fluff and comedy.
Sorry, what?
With an occasion, I've done it again. Surface crap and comedy, and make it seem a little bit deeper, and like there's a little more to it. But yeah, that one would be my 5. I like I say, I won't say it more because you went through it as well. But yeah, I think that's really good. And like I say, it's the poignancy and the darkness to a degree, because I am a fan of really, really dark humour sometimes.
It's that, like you say, it is that clip show thing. Like I enjoy Interdimensional Cable 1 and 2. They're good, but this was just a little bit realm of difference because it's involving the characters that we know, putting them in zany situations where you wouldn't put a whole episode around that zany situation, but we can put shitloads of clips about that kind of stuff, and it works so well because of the scope of the show.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. Right, so 4 for me is Total Recall. Now, funnily enough, as you might see, everybody here, this is a.
That's what. Of course, I should have known that's what it was called.
Total Recall. So this is a little board game that, card game, I should say, that we've had for quite some time.
It's very good.
There's some characters.
If you was, apologies, audio listeners, I'm going through the things. Also, when he said that Rick was doing this, he was flicking the bird.
Oh yeah, so
just for
flipping the bird.
For audio listeners.
Flipping the bird.
He was flipping the bird.
So who have you got there? You got Pencilvester,
Mr. Poopy Butthole, who's easily my favourite.
Yeah.
Ghost in the Jar. Tinkles. Mrs. Refrigerator. Amish Cyborg. Sleepy Gary. Uncle Steve. Tiny Cowboy on a Dog.
Yeah.
Cousin Nicky!
Every single one of these characters
here.
is created essentially in this episode.
Photography Raptor. Mr. Beauregard.
One of my favourites.
Yeah. Hammerine. Frankenstein's monster. I was on the wrong side of the pitchfork on this one. Pool Kid. Balloon Dog. Big Robot. The Bearded Lady. Reverse Giraffe. Which I've actually only just thought about. So he has a really short neck and a really long body.
Yes. Yeah, did you not spot that?
That is the first time I've actually thought about it.
How many times have we played this game?
Fishman.
Yeah.
A fish dressed as a man. Manicorn, which, crikey, any people with children, like young girls or even boys, if they like unicorns, Christ, don't show them that. They'll have nightmares. Fucking ever. Baby Wizard. Homeless Puppet, who is... what was the name of the one who lived in the trash can?
Groucho?
Or was it Grover?
Grover? Sounds like right. Sounds about right.
He's in an advert at the minute. I keep
is
seeing.
Oh, right, okay.
And finally, Big Duck.
So the premise of this episode is that the family is stuck inside a house, inside their house, because one of them has walked in a space parasite, and this space parasite gets into your head, makes you recall memories which don't necessarily exist, which creates additional fake characters, which expands, etc., etc. So eventually they're just surrounded by these lists of fictional characters, most of which you've just read out, and it's them trying to figure out who's real, who's not, which memories are real, which aren't, and it's just fucking hilarious. It spawned this game, which we have played countless times and I've thoroughly enjoyed. But again, it's just the zaniness of it, like, eventually they learn that it's actually the negative memories of their family confirms that they're actually real. Yeah. So you just get these things where, like, Morty's masturbating in the kitchen. Someone walks in and says, "What the fuck are you doing?" He's like, "I masturbate everywhere. What's your problem?" And it's just like, oh my god. Or that, Summer gets hit in the face by Beth when she's holding a bottle of wine. She's like, "Oh my god, I've got to play. It's picture day." And all that. So again, it's the interactions between the family members. Yeah. Jerry not believing that he's actually real because he's had a gay relationship with Sleepy Gary, and there's the whole thing.
Because they've got to try and figure out who's a parasite and who isn't, haven't they? And then you have to kill the parasites to leave the core family left. Yeah. And they can't decide who's real and who's not, because it's Mr. Poopy Butthole, isn't it? It's the one who runs through most of it, because they've all got loads of lovely memories of Mr. Poopy Butthole.
And they haven't got a single bad memory of it.
And I think, again, this is, the cleverness of what they're doing. I'm fairly sure on that one, we see Mr. Poopy Butthole in the title sequence.
Yes, we do.
When we haven't seen him at any other point. So they planted a seed right at the beginning of the episode to play into that. That one's very good. Yeah. Very good, that one is.
Alright, so over to you for your fourth.
Yes, so my fourth would be Ricksty Minutes.
Ricksty Minutes.
Now, I picked this one. I'll be honest, I can't really remember the Rick and Morty storyline from this one, because it's not the bit that I remember from it.
Okay.
It may have just been at the time when I saw this in my life, there were some things I identified with. And I found it hit me in a particular way on this particular episode. But the bit that stays with me is that I'm fairly sure he has to just get Beth and Jerry out of the way for some reason, or keep them entertained. So he gives them goggles that allow them to see alternate timelines and stuff, and alternate universes.
This is the first interdimensional cable as well, I think.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because they're watching that and they're like, "Why are you watching this?" "Oh, I'd rather watch," because they're cutting through. And then they suddenly see Jerry on a TV show, like a Jay Leno type TV show. He's like, "Oh, go back, I want to watch that." And he's like, "Oh, do you really want to watch shit about your own lives? Fine." And he gives them that, and then they carry on watching Interdimensional Cable.
That's it. I had in my head they were called Interdimensional Cable, but they're not. The second one is.
Yes, yeah.
It's called Interdimensional Cable too. But yes, it's those goggles, and they're seeing their lives as they would have played out if they hadn't have gotten together and had their children and stuff. And it's just... Again, it's one that ends up pulling on the heartstrings, because it's the thing that I think most people, I don't want to generalise, but I would say a lot of people have experienced the grass is always greener feeling when you're in a relationship at times. You look over at other people and you see these, I mean, I'm not stupid enough to look at things like Facebook and think that is someone's actual life.
No.
Because you always make a choice on Facebook. You're not posting every second of every single thing that happens in your life.
No, some people do.
Yeah, but I don't even think they are.
Well,
I
no,
think
they
they're
do.
still making a conscious decision to whether to post this or whether to post that.
They are, but it's also attention seekers will go,
Quite, yes.
woe is me,
well,
woe
that's
is
what I
me,
was
and all
going to
this
get
kind
to.
of
Is yes,
bullshit,
you've got
you know.
you ones who are looking for the "you okay, hun"
Yeah,
replies, and that's fair enough if they want to be like that. But again, it's more the ones who, you know, you would look at a couple and you look at their Facebook and it seems like all they do is go on amazing holidays and have like, well, yeah, of course they're not going to post that they had a row last night.
Yeah.
But it creates, if you get wrapped up in it, it creates this impression that they live this perfect life and that nothing ever goes wrong. And why isn't my relationship like that? Blah blah blah, and it makes you question things. But it is that it is the realization that sometimes it isn't, the grass isn't greener on the other side. And, you know, the point is that if they had have gone different ways, then they wouldn't have their children and they wouldn't have this life. And there are certain things you can't, you can't change, because then you wouldn't be where you are.
Yeah, it's one of those,
it's that thing.
yes.
You can always, I don't know, I don't like the word regrets.
Yeah.
Like, I feel that you make mistakes and that you either learn from them or you don't.
It's that thing of when somebody turns around and goes, oh, if you could go back in time and change anything, what would you do? And I'm like, well, I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, there's certain events and certain times. A specific night in New York that me and a certain baggy were discussing last night, oddly enough. But at the same time, you can't go back and change a certain element, because you wouldn't be the person that you are today.
Exactly.
Looking back on all
you
that
would be
kind of
different,
stuff.
and
Yes.
you wouldn't be in the situation where you're having the conversation
Precisely,
with
yes,
the person
exactly.
about going back in time
Exactly,
and getting
yes,
changed.
yes.
So yeah, you have to accept that, which is why I say I like to see it as more of, I made mistakes and did I learn from them or did I not, and I move forwards. You can't. It's a difficult thing to live with regret, because you're constantly beating yourself up with that. Then you have to learn to put it down, to move on from it, and just accept that you didn't make the right choice in that scenario, or that something went wrong. Sometimes things fuck up and they're beyond our control. You can't control every aspect of the things you're involved in. But again, it pops all that stuff into my head, and for that reason, because it makes me think, it makes me look at myself and my own situation and things like that, and that's the best stuff when you're identifying with it and you're taking something away from it that makes you think for weeks and months afterwards. I mean, I'm sat here 3 weeks removed from us recording our last batch of episodes. I'm still not sure whether I like Jojo Rabbit.
Right, okay, yeah.
I'm going to watch it again at some point.
Yeah.
But I haven't done yet, because obviously I was doing all the Bond stuff. But, I'm still not convinced. But I know there's something there, because I'm still thinking about it. I'm still going through it.
Yeah.
And that means there's definitely something in it.
Yeah. No, I definitely would agree. Like, there have been Rick and Morty episodes. Now, I didn't put it down as an honourable mention, mainly because I've only just watched it the once. There was an episode within the latest season 4, where Rick has this guy who finds his secret toilet and he's using it, and he goes on a whole investigation to find out the guy, and then he sets up this elaborate thing, basically going, oh, he's got like 100 holograms, oh, congratulations, this great guy. And then eventually the guy dies, and you just get this sense of foreboding loneliness and longing from Rick. And as you say, I can empathise and I can understand that position, because I felt that myself. And that was it. Afterwards, I was like, fuck yeah, you just see him sat there and he's just like really melancholy and really doesn't know what to do. And it's like he's tried to set up this whole elaborate thing for a guy who was essentially his closest thing he could say at that point was his friend. Morty is his grandson. He's his friend, but he's also his grandson. And at that moment, I was watching that, and there was like almost a tear coming, because I was like, you know what, I can understand that. And that's just say, there are so many points within this series where it does tug at the emotional.
And actually, thinking about season 4 as well, the one where Morty wants a dragon.
Yeah.
And Rick's like, oh, you want a dragon, you fucking idiot. Oh, they're fucking lame. Don't have a fucking dragon. And then he ends up soul bonding with the dragon. And it's that bit where they're like in the dragon's cave and he's going through all the shit and going, oh, you got the Futures album. Oh, wicked, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he signed it in Molly. Fucking hell. Oh, it was brilliant. Did make me go back and listen to that song, though, because I'd totally forgotten about Molly Percocet. But yeah, that was great. And again, that was Rick finding a friend.
Yes.
And he needed a friend,
Yeah.
Because he does need a friend, because he doesn't let people in.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And again, I can certainly empathise with that as well. Right, so my number 3. Now, I really enjoyed this one, and again, I think you touched on it a little while ago, which was Rick Mantis Mix-Up, which is the Stories of the Citadel.
Yes.
which is absolutely
So
brilliant.
yes, I left this one with you because I would have put this on my list,
Yeah.
but I didn't know the episode. Now that you got it, I've left it.
Yeah, so it's the different stories from the Citadel. So we go around, and this is so basically Rick and Morty at the beginning of it. They're about to go on off an adventure to Atlantis, and then a couple of guys are like, "Oh, turn up!" Like, "Oh, we're raising money to repair the Council of Ricks," and they're like, "Oh, fuck that! We destroyed the bastards!" Like, "Oh, you're that Rick and Morty? Oh, okay then." And then it cuts back, and then Morty's like, "Oh, I wonder what's going on there." Boring as shit, Morty. Let's go to Atlantis, and then instead we cut away to this. So we see.
So this is just to back up a little bit. This is the second time we've been to the Citadel, isn't it?
Second or third?
Second or third?
Third, probably.
But we've discovered
we've met it once. We've met them once. Which is how we come across evil Morty in the first place. Yes. We then have the beginning of season 3 where they blow the fucker up, and then we have this one later in season 3 where they're putting it back together.
So yes, this is we discover in that first episode there is a citadel full of Ricks and Mortys, and that there is a Rick in every universe. He has a Morty in every universe.
Well, there's an equivalent of a Rick and a Morty.
Yes, they look different depending on because there are different versions of them and different hats, and they obviously did a little mobile game, didn't they? That was like
I was playing that for a good while.
Catch all the Mortys.
Yeah, that was hard.
But we essentially discover that there are a council of Ricks of different types who run the multiverse, essentially, don't we?
Yeah.
And they are Rick and Morty from C-137 are always running into trouble with these other Ricks, because I guess I even think you might say it, but isn't it something like the C-137 Rick is the rickest of the Ricks?
Yeah,
or something?
he's the rickest of them all.
He's the most
and he's
Rick
basically he's the biggest arsehole of them all.
Basically.
He's the renegade. Even the artist formerly known as Rick, who ends up dead. That was just brilliant. But yeah, it's interweaving stories between a Rick who basically becomes a police officer, who meets up with a Morty, who's just a really down fucking miserable bastard. He takes him on the kind of the scummy sections of the Citadel, and they meet a bunch of Mortys who are helping a really befuddled Rick who's creating some fucked up portal potions, and it's really weird and really stupid stories. We get some Mortys that are in a school, again from different Earths and stuff like that, who are basically being educated so that they can get given to other Ricks, because we've had a whole culling of Ricks and Mortys as a result of loads of stuff. So these are all at the same time. We've also got the political issue going on. A Morty is trying to get elected president of the Citadel,
but it's always been Ricks.
And all the Ricks talk down to him, and then he's just like, "Are you done? Like, can we talk on the serious stuff?" And suddenly it's like, "Oh, everybody loves the Morty," which obviously foreshadowing a little bit later. But there's also the wonderful story which, where the T-shirt comes in. Oh yeah, Simple Ricks of basically
showing off to the camera for audio listeners.
So it's a story basically about a Rick who's feels like he's been done over. He's been in this shitty job for years. Somebody else gets promoted above him, even though he's been there for 2 weeks, because he's the cool Rick. So he holds somebody hostage, and there's a whole thing. Basically, Simple Ricks is made from the memory, like the really wonderful memory, and they just take a little bit of juice out of his head, and each bar of Simple Ricks is infused with this
because they do the advert for it is brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's like him out in a field tilling away, and it's like Simple Ricks. And I can't remember the whole slogan, but I know the end of the advert is like, come home to the sense of your own completion.
Yeah.
Come home to Simple Ricks. Yeah. And I think, flashing back to the previous episode, I've seen an advert for Olive Garden now, through watching some of the wrestling, and Olive Garden says, come home to Olive Garden.
Oh, okay.
So I wonder whether that was a piss take of Olive Garden, but of course I wouldn't have known at the time, because as we discussed last time, Olive Garden isn't a thing.
It's probably a piss take of many American adverts.
I would have thought so.
They're all like, oh, come home to the taste of Cracker Barrel.
Or is it Cracker Barrel, actually? Am I thinking of Cracker Barrel or...
I mean, Cracker Barrel is...
Either way,
is our
things that don't exist over here.
Yeah, essentially. But it's just, this whole episode is just, it is... Okay, we're not focused on Rick and Morty, we're focusing on Rick and Morty's, but not our Rick and Morty. And it's just great because it does show those different characters, what would happen and stuff like this. Then we get the reveal at the end that the evil Morty from previous episodes is actually now been elected president. He slaughters a shitload of Ricks that don't agree with him. And it's like, oh, okay, is this going to pick up a thread later on? Loads of people are suggesting loads of things on Reddit and stuff like this. Saying that he is he's Rick's original grandson, that Morty isn't his original, and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, that he lost a Morty and he's replaced his Morty, and this is the original Morty. And then people to back that up look at the title sequence, and pretty much we've seen everything in the title sequence. You see it within the season
two
it's
or
in,
three,
or you see it 2 or 3 later, whatever. There's still one that we've never seen, which is where the first shot, where Rick and Morty are running away from something. He shoots a portal. Rick jumps into the portal seals up, and Morty is about to get attacked. So the threads is that that's his original Morty, and he didn't save him, but he survived, and that is evil Morty, and we haven't seen that bit yet because we haven't got to it.
What I did love is that
could be clutching at straws, I'm not sure.
When I came out of that episode, I can't remember who it was amongst our little boys night collective we were discussing this with. But I was like, oh yeah, you've seen the evil Morty, what? And I had to show them the clip. Oh my god, I didn't see that. Oh my god, and it's just the picture that goes by and the hand spotted.
Yeah, there's just pictures floating around. It's the music as well. I love the piece of music they play at the end. That's I'm sure is a standard. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and I'm sure that's like a standard piece of music that's from something else. I don't think they wrote it for it.
So right, so over to you for your 3.
Number 3. Well, so yeah, my 3 is Vindicators 3: The Return of Worldender, which is, as you say, so we're on for the viewer. I'm sure it's the second mission we've seen with the Vindicators, I think, and because I do think there's an earlier Vindicators episode, but
I don't.
And we know we've missed one in the middle, but it doesn't matter. I haven't got the list here to confirm or deny. Okay. This one, I love, like you say. Essentially, they go there. It's one of Morty's
Morty's adventures.
Because he gets I can't remember which episode it is, but it's the first season, I think. They decide that Morty gets a card, and he gets to choose 10 adventures.
Well, they go on all of Rick's adventures, and for every 10 of Rick's
for every 10 of Rick's, he gets one.
Morty gets
That's
one.
it.
Yeah.
So that he uses his stamp card to choose this one adventure, to go and see the Vindicators, and he wants to have a great time. Rick fucking hates them because they hate Rick because he's a dickhead. And but Morty's really excited and wants to be working with them and blah blah blah. And essentially, Rick just, he kind of ruins it for them, doesn't he? Mm-hmm. So he just goes and kills everyone after getting absolutely shit-faced one night. He goes and kills the baddies, the World Ender, sorts everything out, and then sets up a Saw-like game show for them to go through to try and get to the end. But Rick was so fucking battered that he doesn't remember what he did. And is it that when they first find him and realise what's going to happen, he's in a pile of his own shit?
Oh, they wake up in the morning and he's on a table and he's just covered in shit, and Noop comes in and
Noop, that's it. And Noop comes in to clean it all up, and he's the little cleaner dude.
Yeah.
And I love this one because it plays it the opposite way. As they're playing through this Saw-like game show, it seems more and more like he's gotten really sentimental when he was drunk, and has set up a really complex way of showing Morty that he loves and cares about him. Mm-hmm. Because Morty's answering all the stuff really quickly because he knows
Rick.
And he knows what he's going to do. But then towards the end he's like, oh, well maybe that's not what I think he's going to do then. And he gets on a little roller coaster ride, doesn't he, at the end? And goes through a thing with Rick telling him about how you've always been there for me, and no one else understands me, but you are always there. And he gets to the end and he's talking about Noob.
Yeah, he's like, Morty's sitting there, like, with a tear in his eye, and he's like, God, I love you, Noob. Motherfucker.
Yeah.
But it is like, it's just the bit just before where, like, there's like a neutron bomb or something like that. He's like, right, you deal with that, I'll deal with the bomb. But how many times do you have to do this? Too many, Rick! Too many!
Yeah.
Like, alright, fair play.
Because he's like, I think I did some of the neutron bombs by eye, so you better be careful.
But again, it's the one with, the reason I think it's the only one is because Gillian Jacobs in there, again, another Community alum, and also Christian Slater is in that one as well.
He is, isn't he? He's what's the captain's name?
So's Lance Riddick, I want to say, from The Wire and loads of other stuff.
Oh, yeah. He's
in there as well.
And,
he plays Ghost Train, isn't it? Ghost Train.
Yes, Ghost Train.
Ghost Train.
Oh God, and that's the Man of 1,000 Bees or something.
Yeah.
And he's having sex with Ghost.
Oh
wife.
Yeah. And there's also Roboticon or something like that as well. God. Fucking hilarious characters.
It's brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I love that one.
So, episode 2 on my list for me is Rick Shank Redemption, which
episode
was
4, season 1.
No, episode 1, season 3. So this is the one that kind of came
Oh,
out
sorry,
on April
yeah,
Fool's Day.
I got it round. It's the beginning of season 3. It's the second one.
This is the one with Nathan Fillion in
Yes,
as well.
that's it.
So this one is Rick, who had been arrested at the end of season 2 and kind of given up, and so that the family could go back to work. Again, that was a really emotional episode previous to that. So this one kind of is Rick. His mind is being investigated by the bugs or whatever, who Nathan Fillion is playing, and basically they're trying to get out of him how does he make his portal gun essentially, so that they can take that technology, and what they think is a whole elaborate plan, and they're trying to get him to reveal information. It's all a setup by Rick. He's still in his own head. He's still smarter than a lot of them, and basically outsmarts them. But again, we get this whole thing about basically it's all to do with the Szechuan sauce.
McDonald's Szechuan sauce.
McDonald's Szechuan sauce that came out with the Mulan movie, and how he fucking loved it. And the fact that McDonald's, as soon as this happened, had such a demand for Szechuan sauce that they ended up giving out a shitload of Szechuan sauce. Not in this country, sadly, so I still haven't tried the Szechuan sauce. However, the whole of America had Szechuan sauce for a little while. I even saw a little video where they took a huge tub of it.
Big tubs of it, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
they took a tub into the office for Rick and Morty guys, and they went, there you go, there's the Szechuan sauce. They'd never even fucking tried it. They just threw it in there as a line, and it was like brilliant.
Because it's one of those things that I guess with the guys being that age, they remember it from the mid-90s when Mulan came out and whatever.
And we've got Mulan out this year, so fingers crossed for Szechuan sauce.
Yeah, come on.
So
we know you're listening, Disney.
Yeah. But again, it's this whole thing of Rick just trying to come up with this elaborate backstory that breaks your heart, and he's just like, it's the scene where he's just like, oh, it's the shot between the greatest sports team achievement and where you were on 9/11, and you're just like, okay, these are actually certain things that people do kind of remember. And it gives this whole elaborate backstory, which turns out to be absolute bollocks. And at the same time as this going on, Morty and Summer have gone back to the Cronenberg world. Yeah. So we go back to Cronenberg world. We meet the original, family, basically because they're trying to save Rick. Because that's it. They're just like, fuck it, okay, we've got to save Rick. So they go back to the Citadel. Turns out the Citadel want Rick dead. So they tend to assassin squad, and then Rick moves his brain between, and it's just brilliant. Like, we'd had a huge gap at this point between season 2 and season 3, and this dropped. I'm sure this dropped on April Fool's Day,
something like that. And there was a gap between it and the rest of season 3.
Yeah, there was like another 6 months, but it was just the fact that this dropped, and I was like, nah, that's not, holy shit.
It's actually an episode.
It was so fucking good.
Yeah.
So good.
Really
for numerous reasons. For the Nathan Fillion of it was hilarious.
Is that the one where he's talking in a Shoney's for most of it?
Shoney's,
yeah.
Shoney's, yeah.
Is Shoney's a thing?
I imagine so in America.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like an Applebee's.
Because it's like it's like Squanchy or Plumber, so they're just words that I don't know whether they've made up or whether Shoney's is actually a thing. Because like I know Denny's, I know Wendy's, I know IHOPs. I know.
Yeah.
I thought I knew Chili's and all that sort of
stuff.
That's
the thing. Until
I thought I knew a lot of the brands
until being the Elite and AEW, I'd never heard of Cracker Jack before. Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
Cracker Jack.
Same here. I've never heard of Cracker Barrel.
I'd love them to open a Cracker Barrel because apparently their breakfasts are fucking brilliant.
Yeah, fair enough.
So yeah, brilliant.
Cool.
Right, so that was my number 2. Over to you.
So my number 2, as I managed to shut you down earlier, is Big Trouble in Little Sanchez, season 2 episode 7.
I kind of knew this one.
Which is Tiny Rick. Now for me, Tiny Rick was Pickle Rick before. That was the equivalent. We had Tiny Rick before that. So this one is that Rick turns himself into a younger human, or a Tiny Rick, so that he can attend school. With Morty. I can't remember, is it because to try and help him with Jessica again?
No, it's because Summer and Morty need to fight the vampires.
That's right, there's Twilight vampires in there, aren't there? Because it was back in that sort of day. So yes, and again, this one, you think it's all just silly and good fun. And then as it goes on, you realise that he's stuck in that body, and that if he doesn't get back to full size, he's going to die. Mm-hmm. But he's actually enjoying himself as a child for the first time in his life. He's actually having fun. So he doesn't want to change back. But he knows that if he doesn't change back, he will die. So it's a brilliant play throughout the whole thing of him screaming for help, but at the same time not wanting to scream for help.
Yeah, he's doing this song and the dance. Let me out, and all this, and you're like,
let me out.
Yeah, and everyone's like, oh, okay, this is all a bit of a joke. No,
he's being serious. But yeah, I really like that one because it plays there, and I think Tiny Rick's hilarious. I think it's a great idea.
I think that's one of the t-shirts I bought you for your birthday one year, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
I love the subplot of this.
There's one where they lick the frogs as well. Isn't there one where they lick the frogs and get high? Or am I thinking of a different TV show?
Maybe thinking of a different TV show, anyway. I love the subplot of this, which is Jerry and Beth, who have gone off-planet for marriage counselling.
Yes.
And again, another community alumni. Jim Rash is in there as the kind of the therapist guy, and it's like them, taking their subconscious and creating monsters of their imagined perceptions of their other halves. And Jerry's like a slime, whereas Beth's a maniacal
dragon sort of thing,
massive beast-looking evil thing, and it's like, fucking hell, is that really what you think of me? And that was hilarious. Those perceptions of each other kind of
and again, that plays on a very real thing. If you're in a relationship that's been going for any sort of time, and you have children or don't, again, it's touching on actual things that you can identify with, even though they've gone to some ridiculous planet on the edge of nowhere and the counselling techniques seem insane. You're still covering the same sort of subject matter as you would be otherwise. But yeah, that one's my number 2. I like that one.
No, we'll get to number 1, and let's face it, we both knew coming in this was going to be our shared number 1.
Yes.
Which is Pickle Rick.
Indeed.
Now, I think
I've been doing it for the rest of them, so I'm doing it for this one. Season 3, episode 3.
Season 3, episode 3, thank you. So, I think we knew, even before this episode came out, there was a trailer for season 3, and there was just this 1 second of him suddenly going, I'm Pickle Rick. And then before we'd even seen the episode, I was like, for fuck's sake, he's going to become a pickle. Well, brilliant.
Yeah.
But I don't think we quite expected how amazing this was going to be.
No, because again, the through line of the episode is Pickle Rick. And that's insane. So yeah, he turns himself into a pickle at the beginning of the episode, and then ends up getting knocked off the counter that he's on, rolling outside, and he's going to die because he's going to dry out as a pickle. And then something takes him into the sewers. That's right, it rains and he gets washed into the sewers, doesn't he? Then he kills rats and things and makes a body for himself and blah, blah, blah.
He kills a cockroach first so that he can get the legs, then eventually he builds up to a rat, and then he kills a bunch of rats, and then dissects a bunch of rats, and then builds himself this rat exosuit.
That's right, he's using his tongue on the cockroach's brain, isn't he, to make it walk.
Come on!
For anyone, audio listeners, I'm sticking my tongue out. Don't go and watch the YouTube version of that. That'd look awful. I don't know why I just did that. Yeah, that's really funny. I love that bit. And then again, the reason that this one sticks with me is
the subplot.
Yeah. Because at the beginning, you're like, because they're going out to a family counselling session. Because again, at this point, they've sort of established some rules. That Beth and Jerry are back together again. Morty can go out on the things, but it has to be his choice to do it. Rick can't.
No, that's season 4. Season 3, Beth.
Have we not gotten to that?
No. Beth and Jerry at this point have got to a point where they're separated.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right. I'm a season too early. They're still separated, but they're going for family counselling anyway, aren't they? And essentially, Rick's supposed to be going, but he can't because he's turned himself into a pickle. And then they notice that there's a needle hanging above him that's tied to this, that's tied to that, that's tied to a timer that's going to go off in 10 minutes. What's in the needle, Rick? Just something I need. Oh, okay, I'll just take it down then.
It's not anti-pickle serum at all.
It's definitely not anti-pickle serum. And they go to the counselling session, and he then goes off into the sewer and all that sort of stuff. And they're having this really interesting counselling session with the counsellor, talking about Rick and...
Is it Susan Sarandon?
I think it is.
Yeah, I think it's Susan Sarandon,
And yeah, they're having this counselling session as the rest of the family, and Rick's off on his adventure. And then finally they dovetail, and Rick ends up coming into the counselling session. And that's where it gets properly interesting and deep, and we start to dig into stuff. And that's why, one of the reasons again that it stands out for me, because it's not the silly comedy plot that's going on the side is fantastic. And yeah, seeing Pickle Rick with his his arms and his legs and beating the shit out of people and doing crazy moves and razor blades and stuff shooting out of him and all that stuff is fantastic.
Also, Peter Serafinowicz, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Is in there as well, and you suddenly kind of go, is that who I think it is?
Mm-hmm.
And you're just like, oh, okay. And then there's Jaguar, which is Danny Trejo, who's hilarious as well in that.
Yeah, Jaguar.
That's Jaguar, who again pops up right a little bit at the end, and it's just like, where did he come from? Oh, it's good to have good to have a backup. Like you say, the whole thing, building the exosuit of a rat, then breaking into this building, wondering where the fuck he is, then just taking guys out, creating bombs, creating like laser cannons out of the most simplest of household items, and massacring the shit out of everybody there. And then blowing the whole place. It was absolutely balls to the wall, hilarious.
Who goes after him? Because they send Jaguar after him, but who is it who sends Jaguar after him?
Peter Serafinowicz. Because he's like, oh, do you want to see your daughter again? He's like, well, go and do this thing for me.
Yeah.
Turns out his daughter's dead anyway. And then, so eventually, Rick escapes and, goes to the therapist. And it's that conversation. He's just like, no, I don't want to come to therapy. Why? Well, because I think this is a joke. I don't like the idea of coming here and sitting and listening to you. And then it's, like I say, Susan Sarandon's just like, well, you know what? People don't really like going to the toilet and taking a shit or brushing their teeth. But these are the things that you have to do to maintain life. Therapy is part of that as well.
She describes them as like mundane tasks that we all have to do in order to continue with life, basically.
Yeah, she's like, you are a genius, you are a scientist, you have done X, Y and Z, you're an absolute smart bastard. You probably hate doing this. I hate kind of brushing my teeth, but it's maintenance and it's things that we need to do.
Yeah. That's it, maintenance. That's the word she uses, isn't it? It's maintenance. And it's those poignancy at the end. Because again, that whole final sequence when they're all together, I don't disagree with what Rick says.
No.
He makes some perfectly valid points. Yeah. But then she makes some perfectly valid points as well. So it's just like, there has to be a middle ground here somewhere.
He refers to himself, he's like, oh, I'm not cattle, I'm not a cow.
Yeah.
And there's things like that, and I just sit there and I go, yeah. But again, like she says, she's like, oh, you're maintaining certain things, and you kind of go, yeah, she's got a point. So that's it, it's bounced up. And by the end of the episode, like, obviously Rick finally gets his anti-pickle serum and turns back into Rick, which is just a horrible thing to see. You just see him turn from a pickle to that. But again, it's building the rapport between he and Beth. Their relationship has been very much up and down, but they're building this rapport. The kids at this point are just sat in the back seat, like, okay, Summer's no longer huffing glue, and Morty's no longer shitting himself in class. That was the whole crux of it, and stuff like that. But that's kind of just been forgotten about, and it's just building that relationship between Beth and Rick. Which again, I think later in season 3, where they go to Beth's imagination land.
Funi?
Oh, I can't remember.
I can't remember.
Can't remember the name. But again, so they go to her imagination land that he's creating. He's like, oh, I created this imagination land where you can't drown, you can't be killed, and I created you all of these weapons and this, that, and the other. And it actually shows how much effort Rick put in. And that actually Beth is very much Rick's daughter, because she turns around, she's like, oh, I'm sorry that you feel you need an apology. And she's like, oh, fuck, I'm my father. And again, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And that one's interesting, because they do... He created this whole world for her so that he didn't have to spend time with her.
Well, no, it's because she scared the shit out of the kids in the neighbourhood, because she wanted like a switchblade and a poison dart and she comes up with all of these ideas, and he builds everything for her, and he's like, you were a scary fucking kid. And it's like,
I don't remember that one well enough.
But then again, he's like, you're my daughter, so the apple didn't fall far from the tree, so. So there you go. So that has been the adventures of Rick and Morty.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Pickle Rick's #1, baby.
Pickle Rick.
Which, I didn't go for the Pickle Rick t-shirt. I went for Simple Rick's today, just because I like the colour. But yeah, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening, stroke watching.
Please let us know your thoughts, whether you agree with our
Indeed.
top
Remember,
fives and whatnot.
We are always subjective on this show. We welcome your opinion. You may be wrong, but we welcome it.
You're mostly wrong, but yeah.
There is no wrong opinion, I would say. We are always happy to hear a different point of view. We may not agree with the point of view, but that's the point. We don't always have to agree.
We don't agree with each other.
Live and let live.
We don't agree with each other at
times.
No,
exactly. So, yes, thank you very much for listening, watching, whatever you've done. The links again that you need. If you go to bit.ly/bytebackyt, you will find the YouTube channel. Give us a like, a subscribe, all that sort of stuff, thumbs up, it all helps. Thank you very much. If you would like to donate more directly, you can go to bit.ly/bytebackpatreon. and you can donate there with tiers at
$2, $4, and $6.
Yeah, that's right. $2, $4, and $6.
$2, $4, and $6.
To get exclusive content, t-shirts, goodies, whatever it might be, depending on the tier you go for. And of course, as always, it is spelt as a computer byte, not a food byte. And all of this information can be found over at the lovely Facebook page, which is facebook.com/The Screenmasters. I think that's about it. I'm running out of voice. So, let's sign off quickly. I have been Bav.
I've been Fluff.
And this has been Screenmaster. I feel like I cut you off there, so...
No, that's fine. You know, you just cut me off all
No,
the
go
time.
on.
I'm used to it. I was just going to say, what a lovely podcast.
No, what a lovely podcast. It's a shame, because if we were on Twitter, I'd tweet them, but and let them know. But, yes, what a lovely podcast. I have been Bav.
I have been Fluff.
And this has been Screenmasters.